I'm almost bummed. I'm not bummed. I'm because I was not to hate on it. That sounds bad, but I was frustrated when I was learning how they kind of did everything, and I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to be like really good. But dang, this is. Hey everybody, welcome to Bourbon and Branding. My name is Jason.
I'm Dave.
And today we are drinking Fanged Pursuit by Orphan Barrel. We are also, once again, in the Blind Tiger. I always want to say...
Drinking Fanged Pursuit.
Fanged Pursuit in the Blind... Yes. But it's not a speakeasy.
The irony.
It's... what is it?
An homage to...
Yeah, to
the Prohibition.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a speakeasy. I don't know. That's the way. But anyway, we are going to get into this. I'm pretty excited. I have some thoughts on this. I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are on Orphan Barrel and how they source their whiskey. But we'll get into that in a minute.
It's a secret.
There you go, Dave.
Don't go skinty on me.
Is that? I don't know if that's.
He's been known to pour more for himself and then...
There you go. There you go. All right. So Orphan Barrel, I mean, essentially, they go
Steal.
around. So there's a lot of companies that source their whiskey, and nobody says anything about it. But I don't know why, but for some reason, the way that they go about this particular, the way they do their branding, it bugs me. I don't know why. So they basically scour the land, if you will. Now, it's not that dramatic, but they have kind of a resource of barrels that are really old. This is a 17-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon. So, I'm not even sure I've ever drank a 17-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon before. The problem is we don't know where this came from. We don't know who originally distilled this. We don't know. So they have these super old barrels, these super rare barrels, and then they slap a really cool label on it, but we don't know where it came from. I don't know, that bugs me. But I'm not gonna judge it on how they do it. We're just gonna drink it and see, I guess. But I don't know. Does that bug you? Or are you like, yeah?
I've got a lot of thoughts on them.
Smells good.
I actually think the name of the company, it didn't even dawn on me when we were first talking about trying this one, that the name is Orphan Barrel. And then as we started to kind of uncover who they were, there was a little bit more of the mystique dropped away, and then I think that the name matches their promise. It's very aligned. Not to, I know we talk a lot about packaging, or we tend to, and we definitely don't want to go too far into it. One, it's I do think that there are instances of the packaging where they kind of reappropriate somebody else's recipe, and we can talk about that, into kind of these unique instances with unique labels that are limited runs. I think that's a really interesting model because it creates urgency and scarcity. So you better hurry up and get this bottle. There's not a lot of it to have. The packaging, I just noticed this as we were talking. The logo type itself has this kind of orphan situation with the A, where it's the only lowercase a, and I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. You could read something into it. So conceptually, it's an interesting...
Pretty on point.
Yeah.
All right, I want to try it.
Yeah,
so,
we need.
right,
yeah.
All right.
Jings.
Nice. I mean, the nose is really good.
Okay, so
you just gave it a
Well, I gotta.
This is our first whiskey of the day too. So your first taste is always a little bit
true.
It doesn't represent
and
the whiskey.
I gotta sit with it a little bit too. The way I see them is they're like a contract manufacturer, right? And so like there's contract manufacturers in so many different industries. People so often just assume, you know, that this supplement was made by this company, or this piece of clothing was made by this company. And, you know, these are different industries, have different contract manufacturers. But manufacturing in its own right there is a piracy that takes place.
Yeah.
And so you're going to somebody, you have a formulation for, say, a supplement. You have a unique idea for a piece of clothing, and you don't need to manufacture it. You need to have the idea, and you need to have the wherewithal to be able to insert it into the world positionally correct with the brand that makes sense and aligns. So I don't see it that much different than a contract manufacturer making a supplement or something and slapping it on a shelf. They didn't make it, the company. They branded it. They own the formulation.
Yeah, and I agree with all that. I think it's the fact, and I think they're doing a better job of trying to disclose where their whiskey comes from.
Right.
But it's still pretty mysterious. So like there's everybody's probably heard of MGP, which is just a distillery that basically mass produces whiskey that you can. Well, I don't know if anybody off the street, but companies can basically ask them, just like you were saying, ask them to produce a particular mash bill, and then send them 50,000 bottles of it, or however many barrels or whatever, and then they put their own label on it. But that company doesn't distill their own whiskey, just like they don't distill their own whiskey. So there's a lot of other brands out there, and you guys can tell us maybe some of your favorite MGP bottles that don't distill their own whiskey, and we have no problem with it. So I don't know why. I feel like it's the transparency part, because on a lot of those other ones, you'll know that this is an MGP, like they didn't distill their own whiskey.
Okay.
And so the fact that they're like, it'd be kind of like if Nike had like a bunch of shoes that they just didn't put the swoosh on, and then you found them.
Like white labeled them.
White labeled them, yeah. But you're like, yeah, that's an Air Jordan, But like, no, it says my brand on it. And you're like, yeah, that's an Air Jordan. But they wouldn't tell you, like, I don't know. There's something about it. I will tell you just really quickly, this is pretty tasty.
I agree. I was about to tell you that too. We get comments all the time. You guys talk too much about branding. Nobody cares about brand. They only care about what's in the bottle. So here's a thought on that. During the USSR, chocolate and as all goods were mass produced by no-name companies, and there was no brand. The state owned the brand, right? So here's a great example of this. You have all of these different companies mass producing chocolate, and then people started to make an assessment of that. They started to say, this chocolate bar tastes better than that chocolate bar, and they started to ask why. And so I was reading that how people would actually pull back the labels, and they would look for the number of the factory where it was produced. There was no brand, it was a number indication. Oh. And they started to save and wait for only that number and eat only that number. That's a brand. Huh. So it's hard to dismiss brand. It's hard to get away from it. It's hard to say it doesn't matter, because it offers differentiation. It offers a support for its promise. It says what's in this bottle carries less risk than going to the store and buying that no-name bottle. And so when people go, like you're only buying it for the brand name, I say, yeah, right. I am, because it offers me a guarantee that what's in that bottle is going to be better than what's in this other bottle. There's less risk associated with it. So I get where people are going with that when they watch the show and they're like, I just like the taste of this. But I think it's a misunderstanding of what a brand actually does. Yeah. And over time, you're making an association with a name, because a brand isn't a logo. A brand is the name, it's the promise. So you go into the store and somebody likes a particular whiskey, it doesn't matter what the packaging looks like. It might help sell it. It might help make that instant
It would help
connection.
sell it to new people.
Right. But over time, you're still making a brand association. It's still a differentiation.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that makes sense, and I don't want to be a dead horse, but there is just something.
This one bothers you.
It's something about it, but I mean, Honestly, this is so it's 46%, so 92 proof. Like I said, 17 years, Kentucky Straight Bourbon, non-chill filtered.
What does that mean?
So basically,
Forgive me out there.
Yeah, no. So basically, it doesn't. So if you want it to be super refined and get all the particles out and all of those things, you can chill filter. So you bring it down to a certain temperature, and then they filter it out, and it takes out any of the particles that are left from the barrels or anything like that.
That makes sense. So it's so if you like hot pressed oil versus cold pressed oil.
So some people, they'll only drink non-chill filtered because they feel like that's more like right out of the barrel, as opposed to chill filtered, which you get a much more refined product, but it sometimes loses some of that barrel flavor and some of that character, I guess.
Well, I don't know what's going on here, but this is delicious.
This is
really
good.
So whether or not you like their promise or their piracy, this is piracy on the high seas, you appreciate their product in this barrel. Does it bother you not knowing where it comes from?
I mean, it does, but it's not super high proof, 92%, but which actually right around, I would say 93 to 96 is usually where I like whiskey the most. I know some people like it really hot and all that, but so 92, but this is really, really smooth. This is, I think it's $150 to $200, so it's a pretty expensive bottle. If you can find it, limited run, we'll put up the MSRP on it. But this could be a very, maybe if it wasn't $150 and it didn't sit on the shelf because you were going to nurse it, you could drink a lot of this. This is dangerous. This is really good. I'm almost bummed. I'm not bummed. Because I was not to hate on it, that sounds bad, but I was frustrated when I was learning how they kind of did everything, and I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to be really good, but dang, this is tasty. Yeah, so I mean, this is tasty. I mean, I don't hate to say it, but
another one taken by the Orphan Barrel.
It's so good, and it's really good.
I think their model. Okay, whether or not you agree or disagree with the kind of the piracy or whatever, I do really appreciate the kind of limitation that they make on the runs, because once this is gone, you can't buy another one.
And I think this is their March release, so this just came out this month actually. And so I was actually going to say there's a hint of cherry, obviously vanilla, and so they put in here aromas of vanilla and cherries. I get a taste of cherry though, and honey on the palate, toasted oak, orchard fruits, spice pursued with a velvety mouthfeel. I don't know. I get kind of like a cherry.
It's almost like a tart cherry in the beginning, which I kind of like.
Yeah. And then there is a smoothness, almost like a honey or something. But I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know if you love Orphan Barrel or if you hate Orphan Barrel. I'm not sure. Let us know in the comments. But if you see a bottle of this and it's not outside of your price range,
snag it.
In my opinion, this is a must buy.
I want
this on my shelf. I'm surprising myself by how excited I am about this bottle. It's
giddy. He's gonna be.
It's weird. I'm not normally. Dude, my score is gonna. I'm struggling right now in my mind.
You heard it here. Are we broaching?
All right. You go first. Do you have a score in mind, or because I'm delineating?
So, this is the kind of bottle where the proof is at the right place. It feels like the nose is amazing and the taste feels really full-bodied and it matches it, where you definitely don't need an ice cube. You don't need to, do not put this in a mixed drink.
No.
And you could just easily drink a lot of this and make bad decisions during the week.
You'd make decisions.
Yeah. There would be decisions made. Yeah. So you could easily do that. So with that said, here's where I'm at with it. I'm going to give this if I could afford it, a daily drinker, neat 4.
Okay.
Daily drinker, neat 4 is what I'm giving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. No half scores in this business.
Half scores. Gosh, man, because I'm.
It's okay to give it. It's okay to go 5.
All right.
You know.
I don't think I've ever given out a 5. Like it's kind of this holy grail of scores.
Once he does that, he's gonna want 6 and 7.
I know. Okay. I mean, definitely drinking it neat. I would drink. If I could afford it and had extra bottles, I would drink it daily. It would be a regular. I'd want to share it with people. I think this is. It sounds weird because it's a 17. You're just not going to find 17-year-old bourbons very often, and so it's hard to share it with somebody and be like, yeah, go out and buy another bottle of this. I don't know what you're going to find that compares with this that you can just find on the shelf for $60, $70. I don't know. So I wouldn't say it's an entry, like getting somebody into bourbon, but if you want somebody to like bourbon right out of the gate, I mean, this is amazing. This is so good. So, okay, definitely drinking it neat. I would drink it daily. I'm going to give it a 5.
Yes!
I'm going to give it a 5. It's very, very good. So,
wow.
Okay, Orphan Barrel, you got past my apprehension towards how you do all this. I do like the branding. I do like the label. I like the bottle. I like pretty much everything about it. You like
the packaging. You're not completely sold on their what their promise
how they do it. Yeah.
I get it.
But the whiskey, the juice is good. It's really good.
The juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, it's really good.
I do want to try other renditions of Orphan Barrel, and I know that we've talked about that. And so, guys, stay tuned. We do possibly.
Or if you have a favorite one, let us know. We can try to track it down and see if we can
make it
happen. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And if you have if you have a bottle that you want us to try, let us know.
Or a barrel.
Just
buy the whole barrel, because you can do that.
You can do that. That's true. So yeah, just let us know in the comments. We really appreciate your guys' support. And we'll see you guys on the next one.